Today we are winterizing my makeup collection. I'm someone who typically reaches for lots of warm, bronzy eyeshadows, more nude lips, a lot of bronzer on the face and a glowy cheek. But the weather's officially cold here, so I figured I would talk about all of my favorite kind of winter must-haves. You could call it my favorite cool-toned makeup products, my favorite winter-inspired makeup. It's basically just all the makeup products I tend to reach more for in the wintertime. First up, I'm going to talk about the new Cosmetics Saturn's Return Divine Skies eyeshadow palette, and they are sponsoring this portion of the video. But before I get into the demo, Cosmetics accidentally sent me 2 of the eyeshadow palettes, so I figured we'd do a giveaway. If you want to enter, just leave a comment below and make sure to include your Instagram handle since YouTube doesn't have a direct messaging feature. I have to be able to have your Instagram page so I can message you there. I'm just randomly going to choose a winner in 3 days, so definitely keep your eyes open for that. And you will be receiving this lovely eyeshadow palette with this little PR box from Cosmetics. So thank you, Cosmetics, for accidentally sending me 2. Okay, let's talk Saturn's Return. If you're new here, I'm really more of a one and done eyeshadow person. However, I own 3 of the Cosmetics Divine Skies palettes because the formulas are just so easy to use. There's a little bit of a sheerness to them, but you can build them up. So they're great if you're a beginner. They're really blendable and they feature a bunch of different types of formulas in each palette. You have super creamy mattes, you have really smooth shimmers, gorgeous creamy satins, and then some chunky foiled glitters. So there's really a lot going on in each palette. So Cosmetics is really known for their warm toned eyeshadows, but they launched this palette with this color story in particular because they wanted something that wasn't going to be super dark and blue and intimidating. This is a super wearable cool toned palette, so it's great if you're someone like me who tends to reach for more neutral or bronzy even looks, or you're more of a minimal eyeshadow person like I am. I'm going to show you 2 different looks using the Saturn's Return palette, using 4 eyeshadows per look to show you that if you're more of a one and done girl like me, you can still have a really wearable look using these colors. So the first look is a neutral one using some of the more brown neutral shades in the palette just to show you how approachable this is. They created a neutral bronze shimmer, a creamy matte beige that's a great base, and a deep, almost cool toned espresso matte shade that I've been using as a powder eyeliner for the past week. And there's a little pop of foiled sparkle as well for some extra dimension. And as you can see, it's a pretty neutral look considering it's a cool toned palette. The shadows blend really seamlessly together. You can use them with a brush, or if you want more payoff, you can use your finger. And the shadows are never dusty or chalky. Honestly, it's the creamiest matte formula I've ever tried, which is why I own so many of their palettes, even though I'm more of a one and done girl. For look 2, I wanted to glam it up a little bit and show more of the cool tones in the palette. I created a soft smoky gray satin and then a champagne lilac shimmer that I combined together. One's on the lid and one's on the crease, and I thought that was the perfect color combination to have a cool tone look that has a little bit of purple, a little bit of taupe in there, but also a little bit of blue. It's just the most ethereal palette that I've had. I guess if I could pick one word for the palette, it would be ethereal. And then the look that I'm wearing today, I didn't film it or anything, but it's the kind of lilac champagne shimmer, and I put that as a one and done. And then I took the really dark matte gray and I used that as a smudgy powder eyeliner and a little bit on the lower lash line. So that's what it looks like up close. If you're more of a one and done eyeshadow kind of girl, this is something that would probably work really well for you. Super easy. I just used my finger and then a little bit of a smudger brush on the dark shade. And honestly, out of the 3 looks, I think this is my favorite. I really love how the purples and the taupes come through. I think it's super flattering. It's not intimidating. It just feels really soft and ethereal, and I love it. So I'm really excited for one of you to win this palette. I think you're gonna love it too. And since we're on the eye section, I might as well just add a couple eyeshadows here. So one of the things I wanted to add is this pop of silver liner, and it's the Cosmetics Silver Linings Gel Eyeliner. This is so freaking underrated, and I wish they would launch more colors because this formula is ridiculous. It's just a tiny skinny little gel eyeliner pen, but it packs a punch. It honestly just turns into like chrome. It just looks like melted silver on the eyes. It's so incredible. I love using it in the inner corner for a pop of silver. It just amps up any look. You could use it as eyeliner. You can draw little accents with it. It's just so gorgeous. Cosmetics, please launch more colors of this. I'm absolutely hooked on it. It's incredible. And you only need the softest little touch with this pencil. It is so long lasting, incredibly easy to use. Yeah, it's like a criminally underrated formula from the brand. If you're looking for a cool toned eyeshadow that's a little bit darker, a little bit more on the kind of gunmetal blue side, one of the ones I really love is the Phytosurgence Flash Florescence eyeshadow in Magnetic Maple. This formula is kind of like a super stiff, almost dry pressed balm, so I find that it really doesn't pick up very well with brushes. To get the payoff that I want, I feel like using fingers is the best way to use this product. And as you can see, when you do that, you do get quite a punch of color with these. They're super blendable, and then once they set, they do not budge, they don't crease on me, they barely fade. It's an incredibly long-lasting cream shadow that sets to a powder. This is my go-to concert eyeshadow. I don't know what it is about this, but I just like see concert when I look at this kind of color. And on my complexion, it's not too dark, it's not too light. I just love it. I will warn you though, the Phytosurgence eyeshadows dry out so fast. So make sure that you keep the little pad in the lid, close them really tight, and then honestly, if you don't use it a lot, it will dry up and I have to kind of scrape it with my fingernail to break the seal. So just be careful of that because they can dry out very quickly, but it's an absolutely amazing, long-lasting, easy to use, beginner-friendly eyeshadow. If you want a liquid eyeshadow that is very sheer and beginner-friendly and it's just a flush of color, I would recommend the Armani eye tints in number 9 Cold Copper. By the way, I think this is my favorite name for a product ever, Cold Copper. The alliteration of it, the feeling of like cold, and it's so accurate too because this is kind of like a cool tone shade meets a warm tone shade. Cold Copper is the perfect description. The Armani eye tint formula is super, super thin and they're quite sheer, and so they're very easy to use. You could blend them with your fingers or a brush and then they set down and they don't budge. So if you want like a huge pop of color, I wouldn't buy these, at least not this shade. They do have darker shades, but this is just when you want kind of like a cross between a taupe and a beige. It's a really interesting shade. I don't know that I've seen something exactly like this before, but again, Cold Copper is a great description. So I reach for this on days when I just want to slap something on and go. And a couple of you asked for an eyeshadow tutorial on my Smart Shopping Sephora sale video, which I'll link on the screen above. It was like a super silvery, glittery eye, and it featured the Armani eye tint in number 9, the M Cosmetics Silver Linings Gel Eyeliner, and on top, we had the Stila Diamond Dust Glitter and Glow. This is my favorite glitter liquid eyeshadow formula. It's so easy to use because it's a glitter suspended in a kind of liquidy gel. You just take the doe foot applicator, press it on the lids, boom, you're good to go, zero fallout. And Diamond Dust is just a gorgeous silver glitter. It amps up any look. It makes it super chunky and impactful. I just love the way these look on the eyes. So if you were wondering what I was wearing in that video, now you know. And lastly, if you're more of an eyeshadow stick kind of fan, then the Victoria Beckham Eyewear in Oyster is a really good shade. It's kind of a cross between a champagne and a silver, but there's like a little bit of green in there. It's an interesting shade. It's unlike any of the other colors here. In some lights, it just looks like a standard champagne-y silver, but in other lights, like when I'm turning my hand, all of a sudden it looks like a yellowy champagne. So it's a really interesting shade. I think Oyster is a really cool name for it, and it's super easy to use. You can just slap it on, blend with your fingers or a brush, and then it sets down and it doesn't budge or crease throughout the day, at least not on me. So this is one that I'm definitely moving into my daily makeup drawer now. So those are all the eyeshadows that I'm moving over to my daily makeup drawer now that the weather's getting colder. And by the way, makeup has no rules. You can wear cool tones year round. You can wear bronze tones year round. It doesn't matter. I just thought it would be fun to do a kind of little seasonal video since I do tend to reach for cool tones in the wintertime, but you get it. Okay, let's talk blush. Honestly, in the fall and winter is really the only time when I reach for berry cheeks. You know, in the spring and summer, I'm reaching for my pinks, my peaches, my kind of tan bronzy shades, and my roses. And I don't really reach for any of my berry blushes until the weather gets a little bit colder. So I'm gonna start with what I think is my favorite, and it is the MAC Glow Play Blush in Rosy Does It. This looks so intimidating, but it is gorgeous and it totally transforms on the cheeks, as you'll see in a second. The texture is phenomenal. It's a cream powder hybrid, so you get the skin-like quality and the blendability of a cream, but you get the longevity and the ease of use of a powder. What I love about this formula is that there's some sheerness to it, so I'm someone who tends to overdo it on blush. I don't like when blush is super, super dark or pigmented. My blush always ends up looking a little bit patchy that way, so I do prefer formulas that have a little bit of sheerness to them. And this is a true cool toned berry, but it still looks very one with your skin. It works great on so many different complexions. I've seen a lot of people wear this and everybody looks amazing in it. I think it's a really underrated formula and a really underrated color from MAC. My favorite very toned cream blush easily is the Kulfi Mehndi Moment Cream Blush in Blessed Berry. It looks like it would be more of a pinky berry in the tube, but you'll see it's actually quite cool toned. And you can see on my swatch that there's a little bit of like an icy silvery shimmer running through it, but you can't see that on the cheeks at all, which is really interesting. Their cream blushes are super thick. So normally I don't like squeezy tubes because they get so messy like the Glossier Cloud Paints, but these are a much thicker formula. So it doesn't shoot out too much product at once, although I would prefer a different method of application because squeezy tubes are still just a little bit annoying to me. A little bit goes a long way with these. But what I like about them is despite the fact that they're so pigmented, they're incredibly blendable. So you don't end up with like super patchy cheeks. These are the most long-lasting cream blushes on me. They set down on my cheeks and they do not budge throughout the day. And I'm the kind of person whose face just chomp, chomp, chomp eats cream blush, and that's why I tend to reach for powders. But with the Kulfi formula, it is just magic. And lastly, if you have deeper skin, I think you're really gonna like the new Persona Super Blush and Jam. I'm actually sending it to a content creator who has like medium tan skin because I just know that she's gonna get more use out of it than I am, since I do already own a couple berry blushes. I didn't really feel like I needed to own another one. And my whole philosophy when I collect makeup and PR is that if I look at a product and I don't immediately think that I'm gonna reach for it all the time, then I'd rather it go to a really loving home. But I wanted to include it in this video because it's a gorgeous formula and it's a gorgeous color. It's just on my more fair complexion, it was a little bit dark. And so you'll see in the application clip, one little tap into the pan was way too much. Even when I tap into the pan and then I wipe it off on the back of my hand, I still had to be super, super light with it. So since I'm constantly busy, I want formulas that like practically do the work for me. So if you have deeper skin, I think that the Persona Super Blush and Jam is gonna be the way to go because the formula is mostly matte, but has a tiny bit of just beautiful sheen running through it. And it's not like a dusty, chalky powder. It's so incredibly smooth. I love the Persona Super Blush formula, and that shade they launched is the perfect berry. It's not like too cool tone. There's a little bit of warmth in there, and so I think it's absolutely beautiful and definitely worthy of being in this video. All right, let's talk cool toned lip liners. I think only one of these has ever been featured on my channel because 3 of them are new, and I'm so glad to have them in my collection. So the lip liner that I like wearing in the fall and winter months with all of my berry toned lipsticks is the Dior, what is it called? The Crayon Couture. Nope. Yeah, just lip liner pencil. Okay, in brown fig. And that's the perfect name for it. It's a cross between a brown shade and a fig shade. So there's like a little bit of brown in there. There's a little bit of mauvey purpleness to it. And this is the kind of formula that is so creamy, you barely touch it to your lip. It just glides right on and then it sets down like a tattoo. It's incredibly long wearing. And so if you haven't tried the Dior lip liner formula, damn, you gotta get on it because it is beautiful. This was a recommendation from my friend Deb. She's always on top of the best lip liner formulas. And so I love this one when I have darker shades. Then I bought 2 of the Sephora collection retractable lip liners during the Sephora sale recently. I got the shade the Nudest and Sinker Suede. The Nudest is basically my exact lip color, but a little bit more purple. So this is the perfect cool toned nude lip liner if you have my kind of complexion. It's also nice that you can twist the liner up and down, but that does mean you can't get a super sharp point. And what's interesting is I feel like this actually has kind of a glossy finish, which I haven't seen in any lip liner formulas before. I've only worn it a couple times, but I did want to include it because these are really the first true cool toned lip liners I've owned, and I think they're definitely gonna get a lot of use this winter. And the Nudist was a recommendation from Abby Young, who said it was her exact lip color, so I was really excited about that. And then the shade Sinker Suede was a recommendation from Deb. And I think I would describe this shade as a cool toned rose. It definitely looks a little bit more purpley on me than it does on Deb because she has warmer skin than I have. But I think this is great on days when I want a cool toned lip liner, but I don't want something as light as the Nudist. It's still pretty light on me, so I could use it with a nude lip look. I could use it with a deeper look. It's definitely a lighter, more cool toned shade that I'm used to, but I think it's gonna be great this season because I realized during the Sephora sale, all the lip liners I own are super warm. So it's about time I had some cool tone shades. And then Makeup Forever sent me their entire line of artist color pencils. And I finally got my hands on Endless Cacao that everyone talks about as being like the perfect lip contour shade. And they're right. I definitely over applied it in my application clip, which I'll show you in a second after we get through the swatches. But what I like about these is that they are a drier pencil formula, but the purpose of that is so they can be multifunctional. So you can use them on your face, your lips, your eyes. I think it's great that you can use them as eyeliner pencils, and they come in a lot of different shades that are super wearable for all different skin tones. If I use a light hand, Endless Cacao is perfect to look like just a natural shadow on your lips. And in fact, I might actually add a little right now because my lip combo totally wore off. So I'm just gonna add like a tiny touch. I'm barely touching my lips because I don't want it to be like, hello, gray lip liner, you know what I mean? I should zoom you in. Just a really nice believable shadow if you use a light hand. And I like to turn the lip liner to the side and get a sharper line and then blend. Nice. And I was wearing the Iconic London Melting Point lip balm in Undone for a kind of fleshy, glossy nude lip. So there you go. That's how I think Endless Cacao looks better than in the B-roll clip that I filmed. I think I was a little too heavy-handed, but that's the way I would normally wear it. There are 3 lip stains that I reach for more in the fall and winter months, and by far my favorite is the Romand Juicy Lasting Tint in FigFig. This is more of a red, and oh, it's just the red of my dreams. I would describe this as a muted pinky red. It's not super, super bright. bright. And the addition of pink in this color makes it so wearable on my complexion. I feel like it's a really brightening shade. It's the kind of red that my heart just yearns for. And the formula is just fantastic. The Roman Juicy Lasting Tint compared to something like the Fenty Poutsicle Hydrating Lip Stain or the Rare Beauty Lip Oils, I find the Roman ones are a little bit more sheer and they don't stain as much. And sometimes that's what I prefer. You know, sometimes I want something more bold that's gonna really stain and pack a punch, but most of the time on a daily basis, I just really like reaching for the Roman Juicy Lasting Tint. They have a kind of strong chemically like apricot scent. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I just feel like this is such a romantic shade. I love reaching for it in the fall and winter months. By far my most used lip stain when the weather's a little bit colder. But my second favorite in the colder months from Romand is Bare Fig, which is much cooler. There's a little bit more purple in there. And you can see just how different the shades are, even though they both have the name Fig in it. This one to me is equal parts pink and purple. And I feel like this one being more cool toned is really brightening. And I really prefer to wear the Roman Juicy Lasting Tints with a lip liner because they can be a little bit more sheer. And then I like to just blot them a little bit and then I'll pop on a gloss or something like the Naturium Phyto Glow lip balms. That's my favorite way to wear them, but I did want to show you the application clips, just the product on their own. Such a beautiful formula and they come in so many shades. But when I want a bold stain, I love the Rare Beauty Lip Oil in Affection. This shade is so good. This one definitely stains more than the Romand ones. And this color is very similar to Romand Bare Fig, but it's quite a bit darker, and so I love it for a pop of color. And I'll show you two different looks, one with no eyeshadow and another one with a bronzy eye, and you can see that it just looks great both ways. The Rare Beauty Lip Oils are not a lip oil. They are just a gel stain, just like the Romand ones, so don't let the name lip oil fool you. I'll leave my Rare Beauty Lip Oil review on the screen above. I did an incredibly thorough, detailed review of the formula, the colors, comparison. I showed how they stain and everything, so definitely check that out if you want to learn more about them. And the last thing I'll say is they do have a bit of a cooling sensation on the lips, so if you don't like that, then I would give them a pass, but I really, really like these. Moving on to matte liquid lips. I just picked one because the majority of the sort of creamy velvet liquid lipsticks I reach for more of the warmer months because they're warm shades. But the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Blur in Ruby Blur is the perfect blue-based red. It is that holiday shade, that super, super cool toned red that is perfect for, you know, Christmas time or the holidays. It's just a very festive color and it's one that I would probably only wear in the wintertime. The formula is really nice too. It's definitely a thinner matte cream formula and it doesn't set down all the way. So it's not like a matte liquid lipstick where you're left with that really unflattering kind of textured appearance on the lips. It does have that blurring quality. It's more of like a velvet cream. So if you were to kiss your hand, it would come off a little bit. It's certainly not transfer resistant, but I love that it blurs the lips a little bit. It just looks like velvet. It feels really creamy and comfortable, and it has a really nice vanilla scent that I enjoy. Let's talk cool toned or winter gloss favorites, starting with the Naturium Phyto Glow Lip Balm and Jam. This is almost out because I use it so often. It's a year-round favorite, but I definitely reach for it more in the colder months. I would describe this as my perfect berry. It's a little bit on the cool tone side, but there's also a hint of brown in there, and because it's sheer, it just looks so one with the lips. Oh, I just love this color. The Naturium Phyto Glow Lip Balms are so thick and nourishing. They have a beautiful warm vanilla smell, and my favorite part about them is that the formula just smooths over lip lines. They add this glass-like shine that is so incredibly flattering, and they're only $10. Truly, they're the best tinted lip balms money can buy. And I do prefer wearing all of these glosses and balms with a lip liner because I do have thinner lips, and I find that it really punches the color a little bit more when I wear liner, and I like to pair Dior Brown Fig with this one. When the weather gets a little bit colder, that's when I start reaching for my St. Jane lip oil in Cloud, which is a cool toned beige or maybe even like a soft pinky lilac. It's a very light shade, but it's also sheer. It's quite milky, and there's a little bit of gray and a little bit of lilac in there. Definitely a cool toned shade, but it's also a little bit pink on the lips, so I feel like it's a kind of ethereal lip color. And this is one of my favorite lip formulas. It's so underrated, and it's not like a lip oil. I hate when they market things as lip oils that aren't lip oils. It's basically a glossy balm, like just like a liquid lipstick, if you will. It's not thin, it's not thick, it's somewhere in between, and it is so smooth and buttery on the lips. It is addictive to apply this. They're totally unscented. I think the packaging is also really beautiful and luxurious. And I did post a YouTube Shorts applying all of the shades that they have, so I'll leave that linked on the screen above if you want to see some of the other colors. But Cloud is definitely the one I reach for in the colder months. Actually, I'm gonna put a little bit on now. Hold on. So it's just like gorgeous flush that milky, cool toned pink. So pretty. Another lip oil that's not a lip oil. It's the Vieve Lip Dew Glossy Lip Oil in Cherry, which is their most recent shade. So if you want something that has a little bit more pigment and that is definitely on the cool toned berry side, I would go for this one. Even though the name's Cherry, cherry to me, I think of red. This is more, you could say black cherry, but black cherry still has quite a bit of red in it. I would call this a blackberry shade. It's very cool toned. This is a thicker, tackier formula, so there's more grip to it, which means it's more long lasting. It also adds this beautiful, like vinyl-like shine to the lips. It smooths over lip lines. It's so flattering. And these have a very strong artificial caramel scent that honestly makes me nauseous. I really don't like the smell of these because it just smells so chemically and artificial, but it fades after a couple minutes, and so it really doesn't bother me when I'm wearing it. This is one I will definitely be reaching for a lot this winter time. A similar one that's a new launch is the Rhode Peptide Lip Tint in Raspberry Jelly. This is a little bit warmer than Vieve Cherry. There's definitely like a hint of red in this one, but it's still a cool toned berry. And the Rhode Peptide Lip Treatment formula is beautiful. It is on the thinner side, but it's not like super thin and slippery like the Persona Day Mask Peptide Lip Balm. That one was like very thin and oily. This one is thin, but there's still a little bit of this buttery quality to it. So it's like super smooth, really, really glossy on the lips. And it has quite a bit of pigment, so it's gonna work on a bunch of different skin tones. And it's completely unscented, but there is a kind of sweet taste to it, which I really like. Yep. Thank you. You're so nice. My tummy was growling. Love you.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks, babe. You're so sweet. He cut me up a little plate of fruit because I was hungry. Ladies, if he wants to, he will. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Okay, where was I? Oh my God, we have like 10 lipsticks to get through. So I'm gonna finish up the glossy bombs here. The Ulla Henriksen, what's it called? Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment in Lingonberry Jam. So I did recently an Instagram reel, I'll put on the screen above here, where I compared all of the new berry peptide lip treatments. So this one, the Persona Day Mask and Pomegranate, and then the Rhode Raspberry Jelly, and I compared every single factor about those products. This is my favorite formula because it's thicker and it's more cushiony, and I really like formulas that have a little bit more of a cushiony quality to them. But this is the sheerest out of those three, and it's also the most cool toned, so it's just not the color I would reach for the most, but I still really love this formula. There's kind of a weird, I guess it's a lingonberry jam smell. Can't say that I've tried lingonberry jam, but I'm sure it's great. It's quite an artificial smell, which I don't like, but this formula is so nice, and even if you don't want a super cool toned berry, it's still so sheer that, as you can see, it really doesn't even show up that much on the lips anyways. So if you want a super, super sheer berry bomb for the wintertime, I think this is a really good one. I'm gonna wrap it up with lipsticks. Always gotta have a lot of them. What can I say? I'm gonna start with the lightest out of the bunch here, and it's a cool toned nude that's very similar to my lip color. It's the Nabla Beyond Jelly Lipstick in the shade Lutz, spelled L-U-Z. Very similar to the color of the St. Jane Lip Oil in Cloud. This is the same thing as the Glossier Ultra Lips formula, so it's a more stiff lipstick balm that holds its shape versus something that's really melty. Because it's more stiff, you really have to build it up if you wanna get that higher shine finish. It's so comfortable to wear and apply. It has a really nice coconut scent. And this color is unlike anything that I have in my collection because there's a little bit of like a dusty rose quality to it, a little bit of gray in there. It's quite muted. So I find that it's the kind of nude lipstick I reach for when I don't want something really fleshy or really light. I want something that has a little bit of like a mauve-y quality to it. And I feel like this is a really great example of that. I feel like on me having cool skin, it's kind of like a My Lips but better shade. So it just works with a lot of different eye looks. I think if I had to pick a favorite berry lipstick, I would pick the Merit Signature Lip in Fashion. And it's a beautiful, beautiful berry. It's not cool toned. There's still a little bit of warmth to it. Like there's a little bit of red in here, so it feels more wearable to me. And it's just the kind of color that I think makes me look really fresh. It's really brightening. There's a sheerness to this formula that also makes it feel super wearable and approachable, but you can totally build it up for more impact color. I think it's just probably my favorite berry shade ever. I just think it's perfect. I think it's everything that I look for in a berry color. These are totally unscented. I love the packaging because it feels very thick and luxe. And I would describe it as more of a stiff gel formula. So it's not very glossy. That gel quality adds a sheerness to the formula. And so if you do want to build it up, just be careful because it's so stiff. It tends to kind of press against the side of the container, and then you can start having issues with the bullet if you press too hard. So just be gentle with these. But I just think this color is so underrated. Everybody talks about like 1990 or Slip or Lavenue, but I think fashion's where it's at. And speaking of Lavenue, if you're looking for more of a lipstick for the winter time that's a berry brown, Lavenue is a fantastic shade. I would say it's primarily brown with a hint of berry. So if you're wanting to like dip your toes in the berry pool, but not really commit to it, I think this is a really good shade. And even though it's super dark, because of the sheerness in the formula, I think it's wearable for all different skin tones. I really like wearing this with almost no eyeshadow, maybe just a little bit of like a wash of sparkle on the lids and a lot of mascara. I think it's a really, really great color in the wintertime. My absolute favorite bold pinky red matte lipstick is the Simi Haze lipstick in Roseberry. I love this. It just blurs the lip line. And interestingly, this shaped bullet makes it super easy to apply to my lips. It's just like boop, 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 and you get a totally clean line. I know some people have said that the shape is messy, but I actually found it to be really flattering and easy to use on my lip shape. I hate the packaging though. It looks cool, but this doesn't even fit in the makeup section of my purse. So that's the only con I have. But the formula is full pigment. It's a creamy matte lipstick, so it just feels super, super comfortable and balmy. A little bit of that powdery finish, but it just blurs the lip lines. I feel like when I wear this, my lips look bigger and a little bit more full. I just think it's so flattering. And on my cool toned skin, I think it's really nice to have a little bit of that pink in there as well. And it is a little deeper. I feel like there's a little bit of a berry quality to it, so it feels more like a fall and winter shade for me. I just love this. I feel like this formula and this color is super underrated. If any of you have tried it, let me know what you think, because I feel like I'm the only one who ever talks about these, and I have a few of them and I think they're really, really good. Although the pricing of the brand is just ridiculous, so I'm not even gonna get into that. But this formula is fantastic and this color is one of my favorites. If you want a cool toned berry lipstick that is super matte and full pigment, I really, really like the Saie Lip Blurs, and specifically in the shade Pop. Pop is definitely the darkest shade out of all of the lipsticks that I have here. And I also think it might be the most purpley out of the bunch, but it's kind of hard to tell because they look super similar swatched on the back of my hand. What I like about this is it's one swipe full pigment. So it works on a lot of different skin tones. And because it has a slimmer bullet and more pigment, I find that that really helps with control so it doesn't get super messy. It is a kind of drier formula, but I don't find that it makes my lips feel super dry or crusty. It's just not the kind of formula that's gonna make them feel better. But it is a really comfortable matte formula. I think it's a very brightening shade. It's beautiful. I feel really cool when I wear this, and I'm really excited to start reaching for it again. When I want a berry lipstick that's really glossy, really balmy and comfortable and not quite as pigmented as some of the others here, I reach for the Romand Lasting Melting Balm in Mauve Whip. Now, if you look at the Instagram page and the marketing for these, the marketing's all wrong. It makes it look like water on the lips. It's not. You have to really, really build it up to get a lot of that glossiness, and these are so pigmented that you really don't want to do that. But I love these. One of my top picks from my recent huge comparison video of all the different glossy melty balms I could get my hands on. I'll leave that linked on the screen above. And the price kind of fluctuates on these, but they're really only around like $7 or $8, which is amazing. They have a really nice apricot smell that I find super juicy and lovely. And this is the kind of berry that has a hint of pink in there. So on me, I find that that's a little bit more flattering and a little bit more wearable and approachable. These are just so thick and nourishing and cushiony and comfortable, and they come in a ton of different colors. They recently just launched a nude collection that I'm really excited to get my hands on. Just one of the best products. I love it so much. If you are looking for an amazing full pigment, comfortable, creamy brown lipstick for the fall and winter months, oh my God, no one talks about this brand, but guys, like it's so good, it's so underrated. This is the Runway Rogue lipstick by Patricia Hartman, and this is in the shade Front Row. Every time the weather gets colder, I whip this bad boy out. It is my perfect brown because it is a brown shade, but there's also a little bit of rose in there. So it's like equal parts brown and rose, which on my skin, I find I really do need a little bit of pink in order for it to like blend in with all the cool tones and the pink in my skin. I just feel like this is one of the best lipstick formulas I've ever tried. It is so creamy. It's full pigment. It's incredibly comfortable. Smells like vanilla. It's perfect. It's perfect in every way. They sent me this lipstick in PR. I've raved about it ever since. I have haven't heard anyone talk about Runway Rogue, but I've tried their lip glosses. The lip glosses are beautiful and balmy and comfortable, so don't sleep on Runway Rogue. Some really, really good stuff here. If you want a lipstick shade that is similar to Merit's L'Avenue in that it's a berry brown, but you want something a little bit darker and with a little bit more red, I really like the Armani Lip Power in 504 Flirt. This to me is still a berry brown like Merit L'Avenue, but it's more of like a reddish berry brown. So it just depends on what you're going for. And this also has a lot more pigment to it than the Merit lipsticks. The Merit lipsticks are more sheer, whereas this is more of like a creamy, high pigment satin lipstick. And this also has a more glossy finish. I tend to just apply a light layer on my lips with a little bit of a lip liner, but if you build it up, it definitely does shine a little bit more. I love the applicator on these, which is shaped like a teardrop. So brilliant because it's super easy to get my Cupid's bow. I have a very sharp Cupid's bow and a smaller upper lip. So the shape of these lipsticks is fantastic. Armani is definitely more of a luxury brand and a luxury price point, but I think the Lip Power lipsticks are fantastic. And lastly, when I want more of like a berry, wintry shade that's super wearable, a little bit more of like a daytime lipstick for me, undoubtedly, I am reaching for the Beauty Pie Future Lipstick Luxe Shine in Bruised Berry. And I love that name. I've always thought that this would be the lipstick I would wear on my wedding day, even though John and I are probably just gonna go to City Hall and like knock it out, whatever. But this color is really what screams romanticism to me because it's a cross between a berry and a pink, with this one being the most pink out of any of the other lipsticks here. So this is totally, especially year-round wearable. So it's like a pink with a hint of berry. It's so soft and romantic and pretty. Like pretty is the word I would use to describe this color. It also has a really shiny finish. It has the most delicious vanilla smell. It's glossy, it's comfortable, it's beautiful. I love it. I don't know if you can see, but I am almost out of it. I've used up so much of it at this point. I love this formula and this color so much. I hope they never stop making it. So that would definitely be my more like everyday pick. Thank you so much to M Cosmetics for sponsoring the beginning portion of this video. I'm so obsessed with this eye look today. I love this palette. It is basically me in a cool toned palette because it's just like not too dark, not too blue, not too cool toned. There's so much you could work with here. It's so soft, it's so ethereal. I'm really excited about it. And I'm so happy that they accidentally sent me a second one because I'm stoked that one of you gets to try it. So don't forget, if you want to win this palette, just leave a comment in the comment section below and include your Instagram name so I can DM you if you're the winner. And I really hope you like it. Let me know what you think if you end up picking it up. And if you want to pick this up, I have a coupon code. You can use the code M_State of Kate for 15% off. I feel like the sign of a good day is when I'm just covered in lipstick swatches. There's like nothing that makes me happier than that. I hope you like this video concept. If there are any other cool toned or like wintry makeup products you think I'd like, definitely let me know in the comment section below. I'm always looking to try new things. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.